Throughout the last few years, Valorant has been mostly consistent in releasing agents with unique and interesting abilities to further evolve the game's playstyle. And although some agents have overpowered abilities on release, Riot tends to balance them out over time. However, there's one agent that Valorant has recently added that not only makes Riot hypocritical, but may also set a dangerous tone for the game's future. Although no longer extremely broken, they may still be considered Valorant's most problematic agent.
No distractions.
Riot have often described Valorant as a high-consequence tactical shooter. Now the words of note here are high consequence. Taking a straight gunfight in this game often comes with the risk of being out-aimed, and although abilities are meant as tools to help you secure a kill, the core of Valorant will usually come down to mechanical capability. However, there's an agent that not only makes good aim almost pointless, but also removes the high consequence described by Valorant themselves. This agent is of course ISO.
Two girls. All three.
Now it's important to note that this video is being created after ISO's original buffs and recent nerfs. The problem has less to do with any of the specifics of his shield ability and more to do with its existence in general.
What a fucking character! He has shield! Did I headshot him on the first one?
Fucking shield. Why did I say about shield?
Shields like ISOs don't belong in a game like Valorant. In fact, Riot themselves stated this very point a few years back. Almost 4 years ago, in July of 2020, a showcase of Killjoy's kit would be leaked to the community, and the Valorant team would quickly come under fire for the agent's abilities. In fact, Hiko would go on a massive rant about the agent and especially the addition of a turret to a game like Valorant. He'd also go on to state the following about the direction the game is headed.
So, if this is the route that Riot wants to go with this game, then I can't see a world where they don't make some kind of a shield agent. Because if there's going to be turrets and there's going to be a bit like, if there's agents that do ability damage, and they've already went back on what they said, as far as abilities not being able to kill people. If this game is going to turn into Overwatch, there's going to need to be shields. Like, I hate to say it, but I don't know how they can make this game and continue to make agents have abilities that do direct damage and not have some kind of counter to the direct damage. And I mean, people are saying smokes and flashes break our counters to it, but I actually kind of feel like if they keep doing this, if they keep making agents that have abilities to do damage, they have to have more of a counter. They have to. So realistically, in my brain, in my mind, the only thing I can think of is having some kind of a tank agent and something that can actually tank more damage.
However, what's important here isn't Hiko's thoughts on Killjoy, but rather the response from Riot Morello, the game's lead character designer.
The worries of putting a turret character in a game, especially that was before he saw the numbers and everything, that might have changed his mind, is this game is going to become Overwatch, is some fucking Scientology level conspiracy. Like, shields and dedicated healers and all the stuff that's in Overwatch that makes Overwatch an action RPG shooter, not a tactical shooter, have nothing to do with Torbjorn. They have everything to do with Soldier 76 is pumping 500 damage a second into you, and you need somebody to stop that or everybody dies immediately. Our game is, when that happens, you die, and we're okay with that. So we don't want you to block the damage. We don't want you to stop the damage. We want you to fight these tools by going in carefully, using teamwork, smoking off the site, scouting, using your tools to take ground. If you walk into a site and there's a Killjoy turret there, and you don't clear your corners, you don't use utility, you don't do it, and she peeks off the turret, you're going to die. Just like if you run into an op. I think saying that if we add a turret, this game becomes Overwatch really just doesn't make any sense to me. And I think it's really extrapolating, like, you know, it makes sense, but it makes sense that somebody could feel that way, but it doesn't make sense logically. It just doesn't make sense rationally, and it's not where we're taking the game. It's just not. Like, Killjoy's been in the game long.
In a summary of a now deleted Q&A by Riot Morello, the following is paraphrased about the possible addition of shield agents to Valorant. Says they've tested shield agents and tested it a lot. They don't think it helps gameplay and doesn't really fit the game. Says it removed the tension, consequence, and gameplay. Also states the appetite for a shield agent is low anyways. To go even further, a Twitter user would make the following reply to an old scrapped agent with a Riot shield ability known as Crusader. I'll tell you what, if you had kept Crusader in the game, I'd probably have quit. We don't need Riot shields, please. I don't want an Overwatch meta with tanks running in, absorbing damage instead of entry fragging based on skill and smarts. In response to this tweet, Riot Morello would state the following: was our take too, though shield was an ult with limited duration. Although we don't know much about this scrapped agent, it's interesting to note that the possible addition of a shield agent changed from an ultimate ability to a free ability. However, it's unclear if the shield would also tank only 1 tick of damage, or if it would have had a set amount of health. The final source of importance in regards to the addition of a shield ability would come from a blog post made by Riot titled Ask Valorant number 5, in which this question would be asked: are there any abilities or kits that are a no-go in Valorant? How far is too far? In response, Riot Morello would state the following: specifically, we try to avoid abilities that would remove the high consequence gunplay. Increased maximum health tends to be a no-fly zone, as do abilities that replace guns that aren't an ultimate like Jet or Raze. There's a bit to unpack here, so we'll go in order. The removal of high consequence gunplay has been stated once again. As mentioned earlier by Riot Morello himself, this is exactly what the addition of shields would do to the game: remove the consequence of taking gunfights. Although the next 2 points mentioned in Morello's response aren't completely relevant to ISO shield, they're still worth going over. Increased maximum health tends to be a no-fly zone. It's important to note that this article was released after the addition of Reyna to the game, so it's likely not in regards to her ability to overheal, but rather about an ability that allow an agent to have more than 150 health. Now, although this doesn't currently exist in the game, it's important to take the next bit of information into account. Increased maximum health tends to be a no-fly zone, as do abilities that replace guns. The prime example of this hypocrisy obviously has to do with the existence of Chamber, an agent with 2 gun replacement abilities that completely ruined the game for many players for over an entire year. Although Chamber was nerfed into the ground, the main reason he isn't played as much as he used to be isn't because his gun-based abilities are bad, but rather because he's just a bad sentinel. Riot have gone back on 2 out of the 3 things mentioned in this response, and given their hypocrisy, they may even end up adding an agent that goes beyond the 150 health limit. It's important to note that Morello left Riot Games almost 4 years ago, a few months after Valorant's release, so the current state of agents doesn't technically have to be in regards to Morello's vision. However, this is the philosophy the game was built on when it came to agents and their abilities, and arguably was better under Morello's lead. ISO shield tends to be a significantly bigger problem in higher elo than it does in lower elo, as once you reach the point where many players are more likely to aim for the head than the body, ISO shield becomes a massive advantage as it allows you to get your headshot off first, securing a kill and possibly even a round. The biggest concern isn't in regards to ISO shield in the game right now, but rather the addition of more shield agents in the future. The Valorant team often borrows abilities from previous agents for new and upcoming ones. One example would be Clove's Overheal, which existed as a Reyna exclusive for the longest time. If shields begin to become more prominent in the game as time goes on, the high consequence gunplay once promised by the game would be completely thrown out the window. And given Riot's hypocrisy on shields to begin with, this could lead to a very grim future for the game. Just a quick note, we're currently on our way to 2,000 subscribers, so if you enjoyed this video, a sub would be greatly appreciated.
Spike down A. One enemy remaining.
Wow.